Sorry about that.
Nobody. Okay. All right, great. That helps me know how much detail to go into. What I'm going to review in this deck, we'll give it to you after the presentation. It'll serve as kind of an outline. And you can use it to create your deck. This one is a little bit longer. It has quite a number of slides on it because we're really trying to cover all the aspects of the business. But we are more than happy to meet with you one-on-one to help you work on your deck, to help you practice if you need to, if you want to do some verbal practicing. We're here for you however much you'd like us to work with you. So let me see if Shira, are you back? I think we lost
Yes,
her.
I'm here.
Just a second. Okay, so you want to go ahead and move to the next slide?
Yes.
All right, so as you all probably know, QuadTank is held as part of the Quad County Business Summit, which is for the counties of Fluvanna, Louisa, Orange, Greene, and Madison County now. And the prize this year, it's gone up $2,000. Last year it was $5,000. Now it's up to $7,000. It's possible it might go up again. This is based on the sponsors in the region, but for now, it's a winner-take-all $7,000 prize. And on the day of the competition, which is October 20th, in person in Orange, there will be 4 companies that present. So for everyone that applies, if we do have more than 4 companies that apply, we will have a qualifying round. We'll do that virtually, just like we're doing today, where you can present your pitch. We can help you run your slides or do whatever you need to get ready for that. We'll have some judges that will be using sort of a ranking grading system. And from that, we'll select the 4 that go to QuadTank. Next slide. So just a little bit about SBDC, Shira covered, and Greg DeRazio, I see, is on the call. I don't know if you can see everybody here. Oh, Joanne, did you have a question? No? Okay. Oh, it looked like you might need to ask. Anyway, Greg, you want to say hi? Greg is our assistant director at CVSBDC.
Hey, yeah, thank you so much. It's good to be here and checking this out. I'm learning with you guys, but also really excited about this. I definitely see a few familiar faces and some other ones that I'm glad to see here as well too. So yeah, so appreciate y'all being here and definitely happy to help you as you refine the pitch and your business overall, right? But this is a great opportunity to do some good things to help you, really think about your focus, tell that story. A lot of times that helps you, helps your business operate more efficiently also too. So it's a great opportunity to do that and possibly be able to take home a little bit of capital too. Thanks.
Thanks, Greg. So just a little bit more about SBDC. We really are a group of folks in Central Virginia that are available to you when you want us. We have experts in various aspects of business, as well as technical experts in areas such as e-commerce, online marketing, online record keeping. It's kind of a broad group, even industry experts in restaurant, retail, things like that. So we're here for you when you need us. We can help you look at your business if you want to discuss your strategic plan, if you want to really evaluate, is the cash flow as good as you can get it? We can help you with market and financial research and so on. Let's go to the next slide and we'll launch right into a pitch deck. So typically the first thing people do is select a theme. And what I recommend when you're selecting a theme, if you are going to use a deck, being in Canva, in PowerPoint, or even in Google Slides, what represents your brand? You may want to put an image in the background. Sometimes you can do it sort of faded so it doesn't compete with the text. Do you have specific colors that when people think of you and they think of your business, is there some type of color scheme? Is there some type of image where they would say, oh yeah, that's them, right? What's the recognizable thing? So think about that when you're selecting the theme, if you are going to create an actual deck for your presentation. And just, keep in mind, a lot of people, learn verbally, but there's a whole group of people that really only remember what they see. So putting those images to work can really help. Next slide. So the deck typically starts with an introduction slide. Often it's sort of a big version of the logo, and it has some type of tagline, which is what are you doing, right? What is it that you say about yourself? You know, you provide the best service to the equine therapy industry, or you are the leader in, whatever the field is, right? You're the leading chiropractic service in Central Virginia. So some statement that right away the person that is hearing what you're saying and seeing what you're presenting has some idea of what you're talking about. Next slide. Then what typically happens is we're talking about what problem are you solving in the industry, right? Regardless of the business, if it's a service, if it's a product, you're doing what you're doing for a reason because you saw an opportunity. And it can be just there wasn't enough of that service or product in the community. It can be there's a real issue with the service or product that you may have seen in your community, and you're offering something better. You may have something that's more price competitive. So you want to explain what's the problem that the customers experience, what's lacking, what is the problem that you really are solving. And this is really helpful. So you're starting to engage the person that's looking at the deck or listening to you present and say, well, yeah, my community could use more of that, right? Or this type of business, there is a problem in my experience in this product or service field. And, knowing that problem is there helps me then, of course, you can guess what's next, the solution. So the next slide, we want to look at what is the solution that you have come up with to solve whatever problem it is that you've identified or the lack of what's there. And it's good to look at this not only from the product or service, because if you think about it, a service is actually a product, right, that you're selling. How is your solution competing on price? What is the customer experience? This is something that people miss, and they don't do it in how they communicate with their customers. They don't do it online. They don't often do it when they're putting out their Facebook story or however they're marketing. They don't let the customer know, what are you going to experience when you decide to spend your money with my business? So I think it's really important to try to describe that. Why is the customer going to have a good experience with you? Another part of the solution may be convenience. Next slide. Okay, so this is one of the favorite statements of one of our business counselor. Who cares, right? We have too often seen that people will develop a business based on what they love and what they think is cool and what they think, will just make their life fabulous, but there might not be anybody else who really cares. So proving that other people care, and it can be, maybe you already have a testimonial, maybe you've done a little bit of beta work if you're early and you're getting some positive responses. If you're really early and you haven't started yet, sometimes the surveys will help. You can start to survey the marketplace and ask them, what is their experience with what they're doing now? Would something like what you're suggesting be beneficial? If so, how? If you're already in business, showing early sales, a customer pipeline, just proving the fact that people care about your business. Because when you're presenting to win money, folks want to know that if they give you that money, it's going to result in good things. Either you're going to create jobs or you're going to do something, you're going to have a positive business in the community that's going to make the community better. Another option, if it's a brand new business and there's really no data that you can find, or you haven't done any beta work to demonstrate that people care, you can look at success from competition in different markets. So if you're bringing something new to this market, which happens all the time, you can talk about what's happening in other markets. So that'll solve the who cares problem. Okay, next slide. This is one thing I like to highlight. I put this in really big letters because sometimes folks aren't really honing in on the fact that you have to focus on sales, not just that you have something great. So I wanted to highlight here a little bit about how do you get the customers to engage? Because a lot of times, we want to work in the business, we want to do what the business does, but we don't really think about sales. So now we're going to go into a little bit more about how you identify who your customer is. And then, of course, marketing is finding the customer and engaging the customer in a way that you establish trust and they're happy to give you their money in exchange for what you're providing. What you do facilitates change. Humans don't like change, right? We're used to doing what we do. We tend to be low risk. If we're going to buy from somebody new, even, going to a new restaurant, is it going to be a good experience? Is it going to be a total waste of my money? Why am I going to change and go with your business versus what I'm doing now? Right. So making sure that your engagement facilitates change, as well as, of course, you want to build loyalty. You want people to come back over and over. So the lifetime cash value for you of that customer is high. Next slide. Okay, so now we're going to dig in a little bit about your customer. You don't need to go into great detail in your pitch deck about this, but this is something, if you can make these kinds of statements, they're really powerful. Your ideal customer profile is the customer that finds whatever you're providing to be an obvious great solution. They can measure that they're gaining something from it, and they don't find anything else in the market that does that for them. So obvious, measurable, and irreplaceable value, that is your absolute best customer, right? As long as there's not only 5 of them in the world and you're going to be able to make money off of those. So focusing in on that really is who really cares about this, because a lot of businesses and communities will often say, well, everybody in the community is my customer. But it's impossible to market to everyone. So if you can come up with an ideal customer persona, right? So let's say it is a Mexican restaurant, and you may say, well, my ideal customer is Carolina. And, Carolina loves Hispanic food. She likes authentic Hispanic food, and she's going to bring her whole family. If you identify that, then you can find out, okay, where does Carolina live? Where does she typically shop? Where is she out playing that she'll be able to see my message? Where is she working? And then that will help you drive how you're going to find those customers. Sometimes, though, people aren't buying because of any of that. They're buying because they want to support a company with social impact. Or they might want to support a business that they think is going to provide better health for them. They may want to support a business that they think is going to, in their boss's eyes, make them look good, make them look like they're cutting edge, make them look like they're getting the best thing and they're aware of the best product. So there's an awful lot of reasons why people buy. Thinking about that when you're explaining to the judges and to whoever you're presenting to, this is the customer I'm going after, understanding all of their motivations really helps. Are there any questions on that? I just want to pause on that one for a second, because this is, it's an interesting concept that not everybody looks at, and coming up with this persona. Has anybody done that already? Kind of honed in on an ideal customer profile?
Hi, my name is V. I've done it before through an activity, and I had a name for the ideal person, her age group, and her career ambitions.
Great.
So, did you
find that? Yeah, did you find that really helpful?
Yeah, it sounds really easy. I'm shocked that it's a common hurdle for people, but
do you want to share what your persona was?
Okay, yes. So the customer profile, she is underserved, aware, so she's socially conscious, went to school, as in college, but she's still making less than $50,000. She's unable to get opportunities to advance at work as well as in her community. And she's afraid to go back to school, to go into debt, only to get a new job and still be underpaid. Her name is Ashley, and the age range 25 to 40. I mean, it's pretty broad, but I don't know if that's bad.
No, that's actually, that makes a lot of sense. And I love the way you described that. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's great. Now I really want to know about your business, but we won't do that right now. Okay. So let's move on to the next slide. Thank you, V. All right. So the customer group. So, once you do identify that, looking at that customer group, how big is the market in the area that you're going to serve? And the reason that we care about this, of course, is we want to know that you're going to be able to capture cash flow for your business and accomplish your personal goals for that business, as well as, keep that business doing what you want it to do. So just looking at, once you've identified that, what is the market? We can help you get that data. If you don't have it already, help you research the size of the market, even if it's a local market, and we're trying to compare for the buyers that maybe are buying something similar, we can help find that kind of information. So, and sometimes here people will put a chart or a graph and say, I'm going to capture X% of this market. Okay, next slide. So the product or the service, it really is helpful to describe it in a bit of detail, but not 5 slides of detail. Like when we get scientists, we'll get 5 to 10 slides of this is what my technology is all about. And that's often to investor groups. And they're like, yeah, we really don't care. We just want to know, who cares? How much do they care? And have you proven that people care, that this is a really great product or service? How is it special? How is it different? Really, what is it about it that is going to resonate with customers? And you want to make them believe that. So when you are really describing your product and service, describe it from the perspective of the customer. And by the way, this whole presentation is customer focused, right? Everything's about the customer, because we know that if you're able to engage the customer and get them into your business, you've got a pretty good chance of having a good cash flow and having, a successful business, not only for yourself, but for your employees and your community. Okay, next slide. And then there's the business model. So once we feel, you've identified a great market, you've got a great product or service, people are interested in this, we know that you've targeted them, so you're going to be able to go after them. Now, this is all the other nuts and bolts to make sure that the business has a solid foundation on which to grow. So things like, where, if it's a product, where's it coming from? Do you have multiple suppliers? How are those products or services going to be delivered? Just, these are a lot of the credibility pieces, but also the foundational blocks that show that your business can grow on solid footing. For example, record keeping systems. Do you have a system for keeping track of your income and expenses and making sure bills are being paid, and having terms with suppliers so your cash is going as far as it can? How will your income work? Right? Are there fees associated with late payments? What are the costs for your customer? What's the lifetime value of your customer? Can you establish loyalty and have them buy from you over and over again? Margins are your revenue minus the direct cost of the product or service. And for every type of business, there is a standard, and we can give you the numbers for that. So an example I like to use is the logging industry. If you're in the logging business, 40 cents of every dollar that you earn goes towards your equipment expense. That's really unusual, right? If you're in the software business and you're doing software as a service, your margins are much higher, typically over 80%. So we can get you that information to make sure that your numbers or your projections are on track. And of course, you don't need all of that for this presentation, but just understanding, how does your income work? Is your cost of goods reasonable? If it's not, we can help you identify where there might be an issue, or maybe it's just an accounting issue, and see if we can help get your margins where they should be for a healthy business. And then, of course, the logistics. How will the business operate? Who are the people? Are there enough people to get all the jobs done? Do you have the equipment that you need? Are you going to have adequate inventory, multiple sources of inventory, as I mentioned, just in case, if it's possible? And then again, what's the customer experience from the moment they hear about your business until they actually make that purchase? And, you know, as is just written out here, the bottom line is that the business model is sustainable, that you've got a solid business model, you can make money, you can make a good living at it, and you have staying power. Another thing that we ask people to think about, which people often don't, is no matter what your business is, it's going to exit eventually, right? The worst case is the owner passes away or they retire, right? Or that's like the long-term, maybe didn't really plan. But at any point, if you think about the business from when you set it up or the early days, how do you build value in that business? So if someday you decide that you want to just go on vacation and walk away, you can maximize the value so you can sell that business. So just something to think about. Don't have to address it in here, but I threw it in there because it's a great thing to talk about. All right, next slide. So marketing and sales, even the coolest things don't sell themselves, right? We talked about this a little bit already, but I just wanted to really establish this here. This can be a slide where you talk about how are you engaging your customer, right? How are you relating to that customer persona that Bea mentioned, with images, with language, things that will be credible statements to them, communicating in a way that you can establish trust with that group of people, because, you know, different language, different images apply to different, you know, age groups, ethnicities, you know, people that live in different, you know, areas. So just thinking about what's going to resonate with your customer group. And again, how do you get them to change what they're doing today to do what you want them to do and build loyalty so the lifetime value of that customer is high? Understanding why they will decide to spend their money with you is great. And if you've surveyed, if you've done some customer discovery work to talk to some potential customers, making a statement about that can be really powerful. If you know what your acquisition cost is per customer, if in your industry you'd have a long sales pipeline sort of development chain, I'm not saying that very well, but for example, if you're selling to schools, it can be really hard and take a long time. And Greg's nodding his head because he knows exactly what that's all about. You know, where if you're, you know, selling to a specific target local customer group, your acquisition cost is less important, but for some industries it's important. So if your industry is one that it can take a while to get that customer to be a customer, you might want to discuss that. And then just the statement of, you can't see it very well because it changed when I moved it to a PowerPoint slide, but sales really is a profession and it requires a intentional focus to be successful. So making a couple of statements about selling, that's something people often skip. They don't really talk about, you know, how what their sales strategies are and how that's going to work. So just think about maybe adding something about that in your presentation. Okay, next. Competition. There is always competition, right? And if people aren't doing what they're going to do, if this is a brand new service, well, not doing something is sort of what's competing for your customer's attention. But you may have a number of competitors in the region that are competing in your market, and that's fine, right? It's, you know, is there an unmet need, or are you doing something slightly different? Are you connecting with a slightly different audience? Just be really honest with yourself about where do you fit in the existing competition. And that really helps not only you as you develop your marketing, but it helps your team, if you have employees, really understand what's our area, where do we fit, how do we target our customers, how do we provide our service in a way that really, you know, makes our customers happy, and how is that different than what else is out there? And also keeping track of what's going on in the market. It's good to always check in on your competition now and then, and build that into, if you annually look at your business, you know, say, are we doing things right? look at what your competition's up to too. Do a little research there. And of course, we can help you with that. Okay, next slide. So cash flow, right? Of course, cash is king. In order for the business to stay alive, to be successful, it's important to see what is your cash flow going to look like. You don't have to provide that for this competition. You don't have to do a cash flow demonstration, especially because the QuadTank is public, right? You're going to be presenting sort of to the public. So there's things that you don't want to share. But any statements that you might make about your margins or about the fact that you have a strong 3 to 5 year plan, and if you're starting and you're not assuming profitability right away, what you're going to do with this money, this prize money is going to help you get there. It's going to help you improve your margins. It's going to help you do things that are going to improve your cash flow. So you may want to talk about milestones or sales plans or other things that may result as you getting this money and turning your business into a more profitable, sustainable, great community business. And we can work with you on your cash flow as well. I know I'm saying this every slide. We can help you with this, but we can. So if you want to talk about that, work out some projections, look at what may happen, we're happy to sit down with you on that. Okay, next slide. Your team. So, the old statement, it's not the horse that wins the race, it's the jockey. And so really, who is the right person to run this? What's the part of the business that you're really good at? And if there's parts of the business that you're not so hot at, or you really hate, do you have other people coming to help you with that? Right? If it is all you and it's a sole proprietorship, or if you're going to be the primary owner operator, why are you an entrepreneur? What is it that has attracted you to this business, caused you to open this business? Just giving the judges the perception that, I'm the person, I've got the background, I've got the experience, I've got the goods, I can get this done. And also knowing that as an entrepreneur, if something happens and you need to pivot, if the market suddenly changes, COVID's an amazing example, unfortunately, can you change? Are you coachable? Are you willing to get some help and change what you've been doing? Finding entrepreneurs who are unwilling to let go of any aspect of their business and are unwilling to take any advice or any assistance concerns folks when they're making an investment, right? Because we can all learn. And, we at the SBDC, we're learning all the time, right? So just anything that you might, if your business is going to scale, anything you might share about, being coachable, being able to pivot, maybe having some advisors is helpful. V, you want to come off mic and ask a question?
Yes, please. So in terms of making it obvious that you're coachable, what does that look like? Would it be, for example, me saying I'm open to making this a card instead of a poster, and give ideas of how you're willing to pivot? Is that how you make it palatable for the judges? And
it could be that. It could be saying that, you are, and you, especially having come up with this persona, right? You're educating yourself on the market, you're learning from the research that you're doing, and you're responding to it. And maybe you're working with others, right? Maybe you've got some advisors, or maybe you've worked with others in this industry in a completely different part of the world, to learn about what they've learned. Just anything to state that you've done your homework, you're willing to dig in and learn, helps with that coachability piece, as well as, yes, saying, I've already discovered that, I thought I was going to start with X and I moved to Y, which may be like the example that you provided, learning, Greg Durazio is he's our online marketing advisor at SBDC, right? So when he sits down with people and we find out, well, Facebook really isn't for you. You need to be on LinkedIn, or what you've designed as your communications piece really isn't going to go with your target audience. Let's look at your language. Let's look at your images, things like that. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Sure, yeah. Okay, next slide. All right, so this is really specific to QuadTank, right? QuadTank is about helping businesses, entrepreneurs in these counties improve their business and have a positive impact on the community. So any statement that you want to make, you can filter it in somewhere else in your deck, or you can, sum it up at the end. But do you think that, if you get this money, it's going to help you maybe create jobs? Will it somehow help this business be successful? And this business is a great asset to the community for this reason. You think you're just going to make a lot of money and add to the tax revenue? What's the thing about your business that, hey, this is really great to have this in Central Virginia, and you guys want to support me and my business because I'm going to add to the community? So this could be your closing statement for QuadTank, because that's specifically what folks are excited about, right? The folks that have given the money for this QuadTank each year really want to have a strong community. So just think about what your statement is about your business for that. All right, next slide. So these are just some presentation pointers. I wrote them down. They really probably seem obvious, but I think it's helpful to think about them, especially, for those that don't present on a regular basis. You get nervous. So it's great to practice out loud until you feel comfortable with your content. And, I've worked with folks, we will literally go through it 12 times over the course of 2.5 hours until an entrepreneur is comfortable. That's for somebody who's really nervous, who's never spoken before, right? And that's fine. And of course, once you get comfortable, you feel like you can say what you want to say efficiently, use really good words that you want to communicate, start to time yourself. You've got 10 minutes for this presentation. If you need notes, use them. There's no problem with holding a piece of paper and glancing at your notes, or having your laptop in front of you, whatever works for you. Smile, right? And take micro pauses. Judges need a second to think. And if you make a really powerful statement about your business, definitely take a little micro pause there, because that allows it to sink in with the judges. Taking a second or 2 seconds. Sometimes it is just that moment of changing the slide and giving yourself a minute, take a breath. That helps. Think of the audience as your friends, right? And it really is the judges that are here. They're so excited to meet all of you. They're excited about your businesses. They want to hear what you have to say. They love learning about entrepreneurs who are, making their way, making good things happen. So they really are rooting for you. So just know that may help. If you're nervous, deep breaths work. I don't know if any of you were in plays or things. I remember we used to do plays in high school, and they always said just, three counts in, 3 counts out. Forcing yourself to calm down helps. Some people cannot stand and do a presentation. They really need a stool. Otherwise they're wiggling, and, we'll get you a stool if that'll be helpful, right? Just little tips and tricks. This other stuff is for virtual, for when, if we do end up having the pre-pitch. So just make sure the lighting is good and that we can see your face clearly. Test the camera and audio in advance. We're happy to do that with you. Jump on a Zoom call and let you, share your slides. And then, of course, we'll ask for you to share your slides with us in advance, so we have them just in case you have a computer problem. And I think that's it. Do we have another slide, Shira? Maybe not.
Sorry, no, we don't. My mouse got lost between my 2 screens.
Okay, well, we can get rid of screen share then, and then we can just open it up. Does anybody have any questions you want to talk about? What the experience might be like, or how we might be able to help? You want to share anything about your business?
Hi, it's V again.
Hey.
Hi. So I just kind of found this event. I'm new to everything. I just started my business, registering with the state August 28th. Are programs like this okay for people that are that early in getting the business structure together, building out their social presence, or is it better to wait?
This program is fine for a startup, but what I would recommend is that we make sure that you've got a business plan and that you work through some of those aspects. And there is plenty of time because this is at the end of October. So we're here. We can help you put together your business plan. We can help you get some of that market research. Sounds like you've already done some customer discovery. And yeah, a startup is great, especially if you can make those statements, right? That not only you've identified your customer, but you're getting some of that positive feedback, that who cares, right? If you can talk about who cares and make it credible that, the community wants this, absolutely.
Oh, okay. And do you have to have any of your like certifications? Because I'm learning about the like women's business certification, things like that. Do you need those?
Nope.
No?
No. So really those are more for if you're selling to the government, or, state or local or federal contracts, they really help. And of course, sometimes from a social and an impact perspective, they can help with your customers. But no, you don't need any of those types of certifications. Any licenses, it would be a good idea to get those if your industry requires certifications or licenses to operate according to the state of Virginia.
Oh, that's a great point that you brought up. Let me come off camera so you're not just talking to a black screen. If you're gonna I want to sell like digital products online, like first to start off. I couldn't really find anything indicating that specific function needs a business license. Does e-commerce need business license? Because it's not really retail. Like, I didn't really see that listed. Do you know?
What we should do, we should have you meet with one of our business advisors and let's really dig in on what are the products? Is there a service? What are you offering? And then we can absolutely find out what do you need for that particular business. And in fact, what we can do, Shira, do you want to put the contact email in the chat?
Absolutely.
And then if you want to email us, we'll get you set up and we can talk about all that specifically for your business.
Really? Even today?
I don't know. So what'll happen is if you email that, it'll go to our client services coordinator. And if she can find somebody to meet with you today, then yeah, otherwise we could get you set up with somebody next week.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Was I that thorough? Well, what do you all do? What will help you at this point? Will that outline help? Are there any other things that you could use that you might need to get your deck together? Do you want to just start there? All right. Well, I guess it's the outline then, right? So we'll go ahead and we'll get that sent to you. If you have any questions, if you want to meet with me, with Greg, with any of our other advisors, we'd love to work with you through it. We can help you, any research you need or just working on any aspect of your business model or literally just to be someone to listen if you want to practice. So just let us know how we can support you. We're here for you. As Shira said, we're free of charge thanks to the Small Business Administration, Go Virginia, and the local municipalities. So we'll look forward to hearing from you and hope we get to see your business pitch for QuadTank. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks so much, Rebecca.
Bye-bye.